My book is actually not about me. It's about what I noticed was happening in society,
Right.
that there is this trend towards absolute intolerance of dissent. And a lot of conservatives have said to me, oh yeah, old news, this has been happening for a long time. Well, I have to tell you, I think if you read my book, you'll see that most of my examples come from the last year, maybe the last 2 years. And there is something different that's happening that is not just the old sort of political correctness. And I don't know, Dana, if you've noticed it, but to me, it has taken on a really much more authoritarian tone and attitude, and just absolute intolerance, sort of a zealotry where you cannot say something that offends certain liberal sacred cow issues, even if you're liberal. That's what's amazing about it. Even if you're liberal, without being delegitimized and cast as a bigot or a misogynist or whatever toxic moniker they want to use to make you, not even your idea, unacceptable to society.
Exactly, and it sort of focuses on what you've written here with the silencing. It seems like the process of debate has changed, and I've noticed this too in the past several years, especially in the past several years. It just seems really accelerated that honest debate and even honest questioning isn't really allowed, and it really has dumbed down discourse.
Yeah, and I talk about this as part of this silencing is not just silencing specific people and specific views. It's silencing knowledge. It's silencing the process by which we learn and we come to conclusions. And I quote Steven Pinker, who's a Harvard psychologist, who has talked about this, about how you can't have any knowledge without the ability to put ideas out there, let them be batted around, come back, debate them, and then you reach knowledge. Instead, what we're having is just people saying, oh, we've already discovered, we know what the knowledge is, and we're just going to tell you what it is, and you need to accept that and not say anything. And if you say anything, we're going to push you to the margins of society.
Yeah, and you get into some of these, talking about pushing people to the margins of society. You get into some of these examples in your book. I mean, I've seen you on Twitter and obviously elsewhere discussing, for instance, feminists on college campuses and that speech. Give us a few of these examples for those who may not have followed those stories, which again, it's just shocking to me.
Yeah, it is, and I obviously went into writing this book knowing that there was a problem, and even I, Dana, was surprised at the things that I came across. And one of the examples that I found most shocking was at the University of Alaska. Fairbanks was actually my hometown. My parents were professors there for 30 years. There was a student who had wrote an April Fool's Day satirical article mocking the Women's Studies department, and she was a professor there, a gender studies professor, brought a complaint against her, a sexual harassment complaint, saying that she was creating a hostile environment by this article because it basically was joking that the school was going to build a building in the shape of a vagina. It's silly college stuff, okay?
Right.
And this was actually perceived as making it an unsafe environment. Now, what's interesting about this is people probably thinking, oh, it's a frat boy or something, right? But no, it's an African-American student who's a feminist.
Wow.
And I interviewed her, and she says it was a joke. It was funny, and yet she was really put through hell through a 9-month investigation. At one point, campus security came and visited her. She was mistreated by other professors, and so this isn't just about this is a person who probably agreed with that feminist studies professor on every single issue, and yet she did something that offended her, and so she was put under investigation.
That's insane. And on college campuses, this seems to be so incredibly prevalent. That used to be the space where you could ask questions free from judgment. What happened? What's changed?
Right. Well, that's a great question. Are been trying to figure out how exactly this came to pass, because when you do talk to people who are intimately involved in it, they will tell you, activists who are on campuses, or journalists who cover this, they will say something is happening. Something is different, that this has become acceptable and embraced on campuses. I wrote recently about Christina Hoff Sommers,
Yes.
who, is an AEI scholar who has questioned campus rape statistics. And she recently, at 2 different universities, Georgetown and Oberlin, had to have campus security when she went there. And she wasn't even speaking about sexual assault. She was just talking about her vision of feminism, equity feminism, and this is now considered an attack